It is very good to be here, and I want to thank everyone for their welcome. I want to thank the interim pastor for sharing this pulpit. I've been at Westside one time before and thoroughly enjoyed it, so I'm happy to be back. I'd like to begin with two readings, an ancient and a modern. The ancient reading is from Seneca, Letters from a Stoic in the 1st century of the Common Era. Wild animals run from the dangers they actually see, and once they have escaped them, worry no more. We, however, are tormented alike by what is past and what is to come. A number of our blessings do us harm, for memory brings back the agony of fear, while foresight brings it on prematurely. No one confines his unhappiness to the present. The modern reading is from Dean Koontz. I read that stuff. This is from his series, Odd Thomas. The lead character, Odd Thomas, has the ability to see people who have died. He says, "I'm a man of reason, yet I have supernatural perceptions. Daily I walk a high wire. I survive by finding the sweet spot between reason and unreason, between the rational and the irrational. The unthinking embrace of irrationality is literally madness. But embracing rationality while denying the existence of any mystery to life and its meaning, that is no less a form of madness than his eager devotion to unreason. One appeal of both the life of a fry cook and that of a tire installation technician is that during a busy workday, you have no time to dwell on these things." Here ends the reading. It is good to be here, and thank you again for your welcome. Let me begin by inviting everyone to take another slow, deep breath. Go ahead. How are you all doing? I hope you're doing well. I am not entirely relaxed because I have got to preach now to a room full of very smart people. Bring you a message that I hope will inform and enlighten you. But I'm not tense. I'm just terribly, terribly alert. Let's start with what we already know, or what we think we know. The common wisdom is that the world is now going so fast with so many stimuli and so much information and so many problems that people are in a constant state of hyperarousal or the acute stress response every day because of it. "I'm stressed," we say, and everybody nods and says, "Yes, me too." And this state of stress, of hyperarousal, is triggering fight or flight responses in us all the time. Of course, we can think of exceptions, and maybe sometimes we're relaxed, but that's a prevailing 21st century narrative. Wouldn't you agree? We are in a constant state of fight or flight, and it is causing health problems, psychological problems, lack of productivity, and an early demise for some of us. We know this is true because it is on the cover of nearly every woman's magazine on the shelf. Along with 101 ways to do more of the things that are stressing you out in the first place. So what do we already know about this fight or flight response? It's a physiological reaction, and it was first described by a physiologist named Walter Bradford Cannon in the fast-paced year of 1915. Cannon looked at animals and how they reacted to threat. He saw that when animals were threatened, there was a general discharge of the sympathetic nervous system, which primed the animal for fighting or fleeing. Science has then thoroughly documented this and has seen the same kind of responses in human beings, so that these days, many people assume that our stressful lives are causing the same kind of chronic effects we would see in a threatened laboratory animal. Stress-related symptoms listed on the Mayo Clinic website include physical symptoms like heart problems, headache, chest pain, fatigue, stomach upset, and insomnia. Psychological Psychological symptoms: anxiety, restlessness, lack of motivation or focus, irritability or anger, sadness or depression. And behavior problems such as social withdrawal, substance abuse, angry outbursts, overeating and undereating. Go figure. In plain language, we are walking around scared all the time. We are sick and tired. We are sad, mad, and bad, all supposedly due to stress. I want to know what happens if you get scared half to death twice. I'm oversimplifying, but this state of arousal, this hyperarousal, has complicated components. We know it causes emotional responses, but it also causes cognitive effects. It messes with our heads. Here's what the research shows. In hyperarousal, we pay more attention to negative stimuli. We overestimate or underestimate our control of a situation, and we process social information poorly. We see hostility in neutral situations, tigers behind every tree. In short, when we are in that state of hyperarousal, we think we are thinking clearly, but we're not. Our cherished reason is compromised. And what do you think all this negative thinking is doing? Well, it's feeding your hyperarousal, of course. It continues to trigger your fight or flight response. Fight responses cause aggression, hostility, anger, and acting out. Flight responses cause avoidance, denial, the desire to escape, and probably shopping. But these are not the only responses to threat. They're just the best known. Stressed out laboratory animals have shown us other responses to threats. In addition to fighting or fleeing, the animal may freeze. The freeze response happens in a life-threatening situation where there's no escape. The animal can't move, it loses focus, its thoughts race, and it doesn't know what to do next. This can happen to people too. I actually think it happens to me sometimes. If I encounter an unexpected aggression or an unprovoked attack, I am surprisingly rabbit-like. I am easily stunned into silence, and I only think of what to say hours later. Another response to threat is to fawn. Fawning is an animal behavior where the stressed animal subjugates itself to the threat. It wobbles or shows its belly. We see this kind of response in people in abusive situations. The people-pleasing behavior of the victim, which is so hard to understand, can only be understood when we remember that to that individual, it feels like the only way to survive. So fight, flee, freeze, or fawn. Is that how we fill our days? Is that about cover it for you in your stressed out life? I can remember times as a full-time student with 2 jobs, 2 rowdy children, and a husband who traveled. The only thing that was keeping me going was coffee and a color-coded calendar. If you are working that hard right now, I feel you. Or maybe you're a cop, or a firefighter, or a social worker with all the stress of those jobs. Or maybe the stress you're under is the slow, resentful stress of dealing with your own fading vitality and the growing burdens of more and more technologies to learn just to do simple things, and more senseless bureaucracies, and the sense that the world has lost something essential to our humanity and replaced it with an automated customer service system. Press 1 for quiet desperation. Press 2 for existential angst. But I don't know that we are always only victims in these scenarios of stress. Maybe, in a way, we want to stay stressed out. It helps us avoid intimacy, helps us avoid responsibilities, helps us avoid success, gives us a chemical rush. That cascade of hormones gets us addicted to adrenaline. It makes us feel important. And I know that all of you know exactly how to stay stressed out. First of all, stay on the couch as much as possible. Whatever you do, don't exercise. While you're on the couch, soak in the bad news. Pick the station you know is biased, and you know they are, and watch it regularly to get your ration of outrage. Get on Facebook and follow all those friends whose lives are much better than yours. Brag about all the stress you have and how tough you have to be to handle it all. Be a perfectionist. Set impossible standards and then berate everyone for not meeting them. Do everything at the last minute so you can always be in a big hurry. Worry about everything as loudly as possible. The beatings will continue until morale improves. Don't laugh, this is serious. But let's say you really do want to move beyond fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Take another slow, deep breath. Human beings are smart, creative, hardworking animals. If life is causing us to feel stressed or threatened, we can modify our responses or even replace them with other responses. Which is why, for the last year, I've been reading the Stoics, Zeno of Citium, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca. Zeno of Citium established his own school about 300 BCE on the painted porch, or Stoa, so his followers became known as Stoics, and not, thankfully, Zenonians. By the way, do you know how to get a philosophy major off your porch? Pay for the pizza. The Stoic school lasted 300 or 400 years, until at least the year 260 CE. The main emphasis of Stoic teaching was moral. For Zeno and the other Stoics all the way through Seneca, they nothing but the virtuous state of a person's soul, and virtue is wisdom. The wise person is wholly good and lives in accordance with nature. And nature was described in ways that sound like theology, but are actually physics, because this was before physics and philosophy had gone their separate ways. I don't know much about physics. I only know a few things. Gravity is a downer, black holes suck, fiction is just a drag, and entropy is not what it used to be. But Stoic physics was different. Very briefly and amateurishly, let me say, the Stoics saw the universe as a single God that is also material substance. They spoke of this divine primitive essence, the pneuma, which is the basis of everything which exists and which works according to the divine reason, the logos of the universe. In other words, and this is my interpretation, the universe is a friendly, rational place. Its substance is divine, and there is reason at work. We can enjoy this Stoic view of physics even if we have a deeply agnostic or even atheistic worldview. For us, we can see as divine the wonders of the universe, and it is our job to learn to live rationally and in harmony with this divine nature. So, unless we have decided that our only purpose in life is to be an example to the others, we need to move beyond these negative, self-perpetuating responses to stress, beyond fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, and find a way that aligns us with the nature of the universe. I've thought of 3 other responses that we can choose. Radical strategies for dealing with stress. First, let's take a slow, deep breath. Because the first strategy I'm going to give you is to fail, if you have to. Embrace imperfection. Don't be afraid to fall down. Remember, Failure is not an option. It comes bundled with the software. Most of our stress has nothing to do with saber-toothed tigers or raging tsunamis. It has to do with our expectations of perfection, or even worse, somebody else's expectations of perfection. But Seneca wrote, "If you shape your life according to nature, you will never be poor. If, according to people's opinions, you will never be rich." I have lived long enough to have failed at quite a few things. But guess what? I now see those failures are just as interesting and as fruitful as any so-called successes I might have had. And they give you better stories. The way I see it, I started out with nothing, and I still have most of it left. Another possible response to stress or a stressful situation. Frame it, and then zoom out and get a wider view of the issues. My sister was a 20th century Stoic. She was a great talker, and she would give advice on anything, whether she knew anything about it or not. And when things were tough, she would let you vent, and she would even help you vent. She'd help you think of reasons why things were even worse than you thought. But after a certain amount of free venting, she would always remind you, well, at least you're not sitting around in the dirt. and framed that way, the problems weren't so bad. We have stress. We have serious stress. But we don't have saber-toothed tigers, or civil war, or starvation, or a 10-mile walk to the nearest water. Frame the problem appropriately. Zoom out. Get perspective. These are first world problems. Bad as they are, they could be so much worse. And most of what we think we fear is beyond our control anyhow. Epictetus said, "There's only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." A third response. Fix it if you can. Well, duh, some things really are in our control, including your thinking. Remember? We know that fight-or-flight responses cause our thinking to go all negative. So zoom out a little so you can fix your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Recognize your mind's tendency to go all negative when you're stressed and give yourself a good talking to. It's the express version of cognitive behavioral therapy. It doesn't try to change the way you feel about things, because that's boring and also useless. But it can help you change the way you think about things. And that creates true change. So fix your thinking and then fix whatever else it is in your power to fix. As somebody once said, you can't do everything at once, but you can do one thing at once. So there's 3 more responses you can make to a stressful world: failing, framing, and fixing. You may say, but you know what? None of that has worked for me. I've tried fight, flight, freezing, fawning. I've already failed at it. I can't frame it anymore, and I can't fix it. This life that you've got going that just seems to be beating you up every day, all that's left, I think, is to befriend it. Befriend yourself. Befriend your life. Seneca again. I have learned to be a friend to myself. Such a one can never be said to be alone, for he who is a friend to himself is a friend to all mankind. So zoom out further, take a slow, deep breath, and let your soul be friends with the universe, where the Stoics say the Logos informs the divine essence, where there really is reason and wisdom and goodness. Now, the Stoics would go on to say The soul is like fire or breath. It is part of the divine essence. And when we die, it leaves the prison of the body. It rises into the ether and becomes one with the stars from whence we came. I don't know about that. Maybe that's another fanciful fiction to console us. But nobody knows for sure. And it could be that we are stardust. In the meantime, we are purified and relieved by slow, deep breaths and our wise, virtuous, deeply human responses to this life and its challenges. So you take a deep breath, and there's the serenity of acceptance. Take another deep breath, and there's the courage to make change. Take another deep breath, and there's the wisdom to know the difference. Take another deep breath, and there, at last, is peace. Amen. Please rise and embody your spirit for our closing hymn, which is number 113. Where is our holy